Welcome to the Bright Room podcast. We interview founders, thought leaders, and everyday pirates to discover new approaches to old problems for a brighter tomorrow.
So it's kind of like a very personal thing happened. It wasn't about a business life. It was about their past life. It was about how they're being grown up in schools, in the families, how they are defining themselves. Because if you're a person, define yourself with the position, then it's a hell to you because there's no position. If you're a person likes to blame on someone else, it's a hell for you. Latro is a heaven for the kind of a person who wants to do something in the life, who wants to, decide about own future.
This interview is with Haluk Can. Haluk is a serial entrepreneur, angel investor, and one of the still few founders who decided to decentralize the decision making in his company. As he calls it, he fired the boss, aka himself, and now his company is collectively managed by all of the employees of the company. So in this interview, he's sharing his journey, starting from the decision making and the motivations, and throughout this whole transformation in the self-management and how it was for the people, how it was for him, what has worked, what hasn't worked so much. So it's really the full story. It is quite practical and is a great resource for people who might want to consider moving into self-management in whatever degree. But it's also much more than that. It's much more than just about organizational design. It's about social structures. It's about ownership. It's about personal development. So I think there's going to be an interesting story to hear for everyone. Enjoy. Side note, you will hear the word Teal being thrown around quite a lot throughout the interview. So Teal is a specific type of self-managing organizations. It's maybe even more of a philosophy than a specific type, and it's extending the usual idea of self-management to also incorporating wholeness and evolutionary purpose. So self-management, wholeness, and evolutionary purpose are the three pillars of Teal organizations. And as a term itself, it has been coined by Frederic Laloux in his book Reinventing Organizations, which is a great read that I can only recommend, regardless on where you stand in regards to this topic. It's a thought-provoking book that can expand and bring in new ideas.
So maybe you can just start off by saying, by sharing a little bit how you came to that model to begin with. And in which company, when, because obviously you have a lot of companies. So where did you implement it first?
Okay, so Latro is the main company. That's I started my entrepreneurship journey. So I became an entrepreneur. I became a business owner in 2010 with Latro. And I'm a chemical engineer. I was working for another chemical company, and I have founded Latro. And from that day, 2010, now what, like 13 years, I am in love with entrepreneurship. So I have continued on developing new ventures, trying to make the new ideas happen. And it's been 13 years since I am in love with entrepreneurship journey. And this transformation also started in Latro, which is the main company. So it was about, let's say, 5 years ago, roughly. All the dates that I'm going to tell you was roughly dates. That the company started to become bigger and bigger. Means we were in the beginning, let's say I started the company in the early days with one another new graduate chemical engineer, and we were two. But after several years, 6, 7, 8 years, we start to become 15, 20, 25. And that's where the struggling started, because I never believed in hierarchical system in my life. I never believed this these levels. So it was easy in the beginning when we were 5, 6, 7, 10 to keep up the work and working like a one team, working like a family, working without any hierarchy. But the numbers started to become 15, 20. Then, okay, working like a family is good, but then you need kind of a structure. And when you don't have a hierarchy and you don't have any other alternative way, then it starts to become like more chaotic. And those were the days. Again, 5 years ago, I was started to look for an alternative way of an organizational model. The existing ones, again, was not fitting with me, with all these hierarchies, with all these departments thing, and all internal frictions. I never liked it. So I think the agile management was the first thing that I heard that when I was searching for it. And one of very close friend of mine, he's a very important person in agile world, and he has an agile consultant company. And I was talking to him. He was my friend, by the way. And I wanted to know more about the agile management organizational model, that if it can be implemented in Latro. Because at those days, the agile was sounding very well, that you have a team without hierarchy, not really hierarchy, and you finalize the things end to end. You run the projects end to end. And that was very similar to my mindset. And I think we have discussed several times. He never really paid attention because I was a very small company, I guess. And again, I was like a small company, so probably he didn't really pay attention what I was saying. But I was insisting on, okay, what kind of a change we can do, whatever. And he gave me a book one day. And the book was Reinventing Organizations. And that is the book from Frederick Laloux, the Teal organizations and all these things. And that is the book, changed my life completely. And I read it for 6 months, every single page, underlining every single sentences, and come back to him, my friend, Mehmet. I told him I loved it. I loved the idea. And then the self-management, Teal organizations is the one that I want to go. He said, okay, if you are ready, let's transform your company into a self-management organization. And 2.5 years ago, almost, we said, okay, we are starting. So it was very weird that my company, without going through the agile management, directly jump into the self-management. And nowadays, by the way, we don't call it self-management because we believe the word also should be changed. We call it collective management. And yeah, that is how the story started. That 2.5 years ago, it was the first time that we were going to try it in this region. And yeah, it's how we started.
Yeah. Can you tell me a bit more about, like you said that you never believed in hierarchy. What was it about hierarchy, and when did this never start? Like because I mean, I guess to a certain extent it's even kind of hard to recognize the hierarchy because we are so in it, like from the day we are born, especially I don't like I would imagine in Turkey it's like the family structure already is very hierarchical, in my country as well. So what was it that was like, okay, I don't believe in hierarchy, it's not working?
Very good question. Yes, it's not like you don't get that consciousness when you are young. So what I know today, I can tell that the hierarchy was never for me. But at those years, probably I wouldn't say this sentence as that I don't like hierarchy. At those years, I would be saying, I don't understand why how to say, why the roles is that important, or why the positions are that important. I never really find it valuable being boss, being CEO, being manager, being director. And again, yes, you are right that I wasn't thinking about the hierarchy or non-hierarchy. What I knew is why some people are more important than others, or why some people's ideas are more important than others. And in my, even from my early years, I never act like a manager, even though I was the manager in my previous company, to the employees or to my team. I was always asking their ideas, and I was always trying to give the decision together. And I've never been like the way they treated like a boss, like a manager, like a director. So myself, I didn't like that idea that the people treat me like a boss. So when we were discussing a subject in my company, for example, before this self-management, I was always telling them, please, if you don't believe it, what I am saying, just challenge me. I love challenges. Or don't do anything that I say because I am a boss. Do them if you believe so. So it's kind of like I always had this idea. And plus, I never understood the friction between the departments. You know, like the R&D says something, sales department says something, then the finance department is another way. And it's kind of, I am so result-oriented person. I was saying, why the hell we are discussing all these details and we are having this friction between us while we need to sell the product, while we need to explain us in the best way to our customer. So the product is important, the customer is important, but the position is not important at all. Or the when we fight between us, sales, R&D, production, we don't win. There is no winner in this fight. We gotta be together, and we gotta be, you know, in the market to the customer with the product in the best way we can. So these were the beliefs going through my mind. And when I was going to develop the structure of the company, how was I gonna do? Okay, this is the sales department. He is the sales manager. This is the production department. This is the production manager. I am the CEO. I probably wouldn't do that because I hate it. And then lately, when I read more and more, I call it, I don't like hierarchy. And then, yes, you are right. In Turkey, it is heavy. It's probably heavier than, a lot heavier than your country. We have a heavy hierarchy at school, at home, you know, like for sure in business, politics, wherever you say there's a you know, sharp hierarchy.
Okay, so when you were embarking on this restructuring in your organization, what was kind of, did you have an ideal state? Did you have the vision for the ideal state of how it's going to look like?
Yes, actually, that my ideal stage was again a Teal organization. That's why I am saying that the Frederick Laloux, I don't know how he got that, but he had a very clear vision in the book, a very clear history of how the business world has been evolved throughout last 200 years. So the color codes that he has given from red till teal, it was very clear. So when I read that book, I was, you know, I had quite a good vision how the company is going to look like, just like a Teal organization. And at those days, I read Holacracy, I read Humanocracy. These were the books again mentioning about this thing. So I knew how the feeling was going to be. But yes, I wasn't sure at all how the structure was going to be. So the structure wise, I wasn't sure at all, but I knew the feeling. The feeling was going to be that it's going to be a kind of living organism. It's going to be a decentralized autonomous organization. I love that word, decentralized autonomous organization, but I didn't know how. And the great thing about, I think, being a Teal organization and believing in this collective management, together with Mehmet, that my friend, we started this transformation. But unlike other transformations, he also didn't know exactly where we're going to go, because he said it's going to be Latro way. So I believe in this kind of transformations, there is no one way. And I'm sure each company has to find, together with all the people inside the company on their own way, to come up to this level. So from the beginning, we included every single person in Latro in this journey. So in many other transformations, what happens is the management decides about the transformation, or the boss, and then they announce to the people inside the company. They say, we're going to transform into this, and they give the order, and the people are received the order and they do it. But here we all communicate it and even do it together with them. So what we will do next? So what is the next stage? So what's going to do? How are we going to do it? So all the stages we have developed together. We just had several principles, very clear principles, which are radical transparency. So whatever we're going to do, it's going to be radically transparent to everyone in the company throughout the process, or at the end of process, anything we are going to do. The equality. So everyone has right to speak up, and even if they can say, no, shit, this is not a good organizational model, I don't want it. This is my reasons, and I have a better option. This is my reasons. So it was a complete equal approach from everyone. And one another thing was, I think this is also very important, that we were going to share whatever we earn through this, after this transformation. So this was another important point. So when you set these principles, when you set these points, and then you start the journey, I think it's flowing, because you are doing it with the people. And in our flow, everything starts with the culture. We call it, the building the culture. And in the culture, just like in the book, there has to be a very strong purpose, values, and principles. So these three were a kind of our synchronization wheel. We call that synchronization wheel, that we synchronized according to our purpose, values, and principles. And that made our culture. Everything started from that. Because when you remove the hierarchy, there has to be something else that makes people, kind of move together, that makes people synchronize together. Because in hierarchy, it is the management synchronizes the people. In collective management, it is the culture, it is the purpose, it is the values, it is the principles make people work together. It's kind of internal agreement, between people.
Yeah. And how did you establish this agreement?
Again, together with everyone. We started, it took like a couple of months. We had several, I think 3-4 workshops with everyone. We have sent them questionnaires. We received the answers, and again, we discussed with them. So the very important thing is, the companies are making here a lot of mistakes. The purpose is not something that you want to go. Purpose, values, and principles are the somethings that you currently are. So you just kind of find your own meaning, and you kind of find your own existence reason. So like a purpose, we discuss a lot, we write down, we started from the people's own personal purposes and how we can end up a combined purpose. And then the values, what are our values, how we act. And when we ask these questions again, we didn't try to find something in a dream of, in a future. No, we said what we are doing today. So together with everyone, during these 3-4 months, we built this synchronization wheel. Purposes, values, and principles means our culture. That's a very important part. And by the way, like in my classes in the school, and in business schools, I have a presentation. I am showing exactly what the synchronization wheel. So maybe it might be a little difficult right now for you to imagine it, but when you see it, you will understand. It's very simple. 5 values, 1 purpose, and 2 principles around it.
Maybe you can define, because I think those things, a lot of people use them, but then everyone has a slightly different meaning. What exactly is purpose, values, and principles? So what do you mean by those words?
I think the purpose is like the North Star. or like whenever you are in conflict, you check with your purpose. So the purpose aligns all of you in one direction. So we said, for example, our purpose is we are looking after extraordinary solutions and create new possibilities. So that's what we said. So why this is important? Anything we do, we could have a conflict. In hierarchy, when you have a conflict, you ask to your boss, and the boss makes a decision. In our system, when you have a conflict, you mainly ask this question: what is better for our purpose? What is into our direction of purpose? So the purpose kinds of defines our way or lights up our way. And then we have guidance, which are values. So this guide us to this purpose. So in our values are defining who we are. Means when we hire someone, the values defines what kind of a personality we are going to hire. And the values defines how we act, how we respond to the happenings. And then the principles, I think one of the most important part. Principles are our red lines. We don't cross them. So the one of the principle, for example, is self-management, that we call it collective management. Sorry, collective management is our principle. Means we make the decisions together with the data and the existing of the experience, and we got the responsibility of this decision. So we try to make the principle that the decision is not being made by one person, and the principle is you have to take responsibility of the decision. So if you don't take the responsibility of decision, and if you make a decision without making transparent to others, this is crossing our red line. So it's kind of a principle that we hold each other together.
Yeah, so it's kind of like working conventions.
Let's say yes. So this is the synchronization wheel. Maybe now it is more easy to understand. As you can see, a very one purpose, 5 values, and 2 principles: commitment and collective management. So this is our thing. So as I was saying, explorer, I think, is very important. Since we have new possibilities, with chemical solutions, the explorer comes in. It has to be passionate, human-centric, definitely human-centric, expert, wholeness. So on each and everything, we explain this in our actions. So this is very important for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did you feel, kind of taking a step back a little bit, when you were making this decision and you were reading this book? And I can imagine that, like, even though you were already very much opposed and you were managing it more like a family, so I guess you were like on the green already.
Yes.
I can imagine there were still a lot of changes, like especially like this financial transparency and the decision making with the budget. I think is the one thing that most people find particularly scary to let go the control of, just because the impact can be like just so much bigger. What feelings did you have at that stage? Did you have any concerns?
Yeah, sure. Sure. I mean, like, it is not something that you heard a lot around you. So you're always afraid that what is going to happen, how the reaction is going to be. So yes, it was very difficult, like, to, even myself, what's going to happen was a big question. And I wasn't sure how the reaction is going to be. And when you have all the radical transparency, what will happen? So on each and every stage, I did believe that this collective management is the correct way, but I also had questions what the result is going to be. And I think it happened also to people. You know, when they started, they said, yes, the idea is great. Yes, it makes sense, because when you discuss it, when you read the book, it makes sense. But when you do it, what happens? There are not too many examples in the world. And I guess in each and every day, each and every week, we try to encourage each other. And then sometimes we said, okay, let's wait and see. So it's kind of a game that you hold each other to the end. And before seeing the result, I don't think there is any easy way of proving yourself. But just like I was telling you in the beginning of our conversation, it's so important for me to talk to you or to anybody who I can really tell more about this collective management. Now I guess it will be a little bit easier for the next company, and more easy on the next. We need examples.
Yeah.
When there are examples, like today, the agile 15 years ago was not very well known by the companies, and the results were not known. But today, if any company wants to transform into an agile organizational model, it's not a big question, because there are a lot of beautiful examples on earth and a lot of thousands of good results at the end. So it's very important that if we can share the story of Latro, so that it will encourage the others. In our case, we were encouraged from some companies, some cases from the Corporate Rebels book. I don't know if you know them. They're also nice people. So in Corporate Rebels, that's good. That also encouraging you. There are companies on earth. They are doing kind of this kind of experiments or this kind of models, and it's giving great results. But yeah, still it's scary.
Was there anything in particular that you were most scared about?
Is that, and still today, that is probably the most difficult part, is that the people really gonna take their own responsibility. That was my scare, because in this system, this is a thing that you should have people who are ready to take responsibility, who are ready to own the responsibility. You know, in the US, they have this great saying. I'm sorry to say that, maybe you have to take this out from our recording, but own your shit. And then I love it. And it is not very well educated throughout our life, in schools, in our families. We don't get education of owning our shit. So like when you tell this idea to people, collective management, let's say today, I just give you an example. When you talk about Latro, the people are love it, and they are dream job, because everybody has their own power, no management, no, you don't report to anyone, you become a partner, of the income. So any profit you have the share. Nobody is questioning you about working time, what time you come, what time you leave, your holiday time. It's a complete freedom. So from outside, it sounds like an amazing organization, just like a heaven. But most of them are missing one important part. All this freedom comes with responsibility. And we don't even say that you have to be successful. We say, own it. Success, unsuccess, fail, whatever it is, own it. And that was the thing that I was afraid. And we really faced a lot of difficulties. And today, even, we are facing to find that kind of a people or person, unfortunately, because of the education system, the family education, all this thing, they don't teach us to take the responsibility enough.
So you are solving this by recruiting the right people from the get-go?
Yes, I mean, we are trying to solve it. Yes, you are right. From the first day, that who really becomes a part of Latro. but we'll also try to solve it to remind to person that you have the power of your own life. So own it. You have the power of, you know, having or deciding about your own future. So we try to give some soft skills through our training program. So one of the very important part of this transformation that we had a educational training program, and it was soft skills, nothing about chemicals. It was only soft skills. And in here, you again remind back to him that, come on, man, you can do it, and just own it. Nobody is expecting from you the full success, but the people are expecting from you to take responsibility, be part of it, be part of the fail, be part of the success. And some people are really moving towards this direction. So you get them, and the others are not. So yes, there are two solutions. And the good thing is, the people who realizes about their own power of taking responsibility and who enjoys taking the responsibility are giving great comments. Like in my last birthday, I had these messages that I never forget. That's, thanks to you, I become a better father. Thanks to you, I become a better wife. I become a better, you know, because in their personal life, when they learn to take the responsibility of their own life, they apply it in their other relationships, because in our other relationships, we act the same way. We just blame on someone. We just blame on other things regarding, instead of taking the responsibility of it or taking action, you just blame. So it's not like only in the companies. At home, you blame on your father or mother, you blame on your wife, you blame on your kid even. You just blame on the politics, you just blame on the economics, instead of, no, it's my responsibility, I gotta take care of it. I fail it, I tried it, I fail it, I'm gonna solve it. I fail it, I learned from it, I'm gonna do it better. These are the most difficult sentences that most of the people are using.
Yeah. What type of training do you offer? So can you just, if you remember?
No, yeah, sure. Again, let me share it, because then you can see the larger picture of it.
Can you send me this document?
Sure. It is also summary is in the website, but I will send it. So like in the yes, this one. This
Okay.
was the this was the journey. We called it Explorer's Journey. So here, you know, the feedback culture, the teamwork collaboration, we had the self-awareness, leadership skills, autonomy, collective consciousness, grown-up ego. So these were the subjects of our trainings, and the trainer came in, and with the subject, they had their special program. And it is not something like very, very special to us. Most of these are already exist in psychology and sociology, I think. So it's most of the discussions that you make with your psychologist. Your psychologist tells you to be aware of yourself, to be more consciousness, to find your own power. So these were just the soft skills that we had together with the company.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, especially that there was such a huge focus on that, because I think it's like still in most of the companies, it's kind of, I don't know, it's seen as a nice to have rather than something that's fundamental.
In self-management, a lot of things are fundamental, not nice to have. In let's say hierarchy, radical transparency is a nice to have. In collective management, in self-management, it is a must to have. So there are some points, if you don't have it, you cannot tell yourself a collective management, or you can't even run it. You cannot run an autonomous organization without radical transparency. So many companies are making mistakes that they are empowering people, but not completely transparenting everything to them. So it's kind of like the people have the power without seeing around it. So it's like that there are things, and like the income model that we had, you have to share with people if you want autonomy. So like when we had, it was the final touch of our transformation. We transformed the culture, we developed the teams, we decided about the autonomy, what is all this means. But at the end, think about it. You tell them that now we are sharing the responsibility, you have the full responsibility, it's autonomy, you are the guys, let's do it. Oh, by the way, I'm not sharing my profit with you. I mean, it won't work. So at the end, you're going to tell them, oh, by the way, guys, whatever you are doing, you are also now a partner. You are also a share. You are also a profit owner. And some of them become shareholder, that every year, more and more of them will become a shareholder. So you don't only share your responsibilities, you're going to share also your, the good side of it, the profit with them. So these are not nice to have ones. These are a must to have ones in self-management.
Yeah. So when you started this transformation, how was it received by the people? Was everybody on board? Did anyone challenge it? Like, did people just leave because they were not accepting of this new structure?
Yes, all the things that you said happened in some numbers. Some of them accepted it, but when they leave the system, then they leave the system. Both is the same word. So some of them rejected it, but then when they live in the system, they loved it. Some of them has really doubts on it, and we consider their doubts. So we moved slowly together with their consideration, but we found they become faster than us. So it's kind of like a very personal thing happened. It wasn't about a business life. It was about their past life. It was about how they're being grown up in schools, in the families, how they are defining themselves. Because if you're a person, define yourself with the position, then it's a hell to you because there's no position. If you're a person likes to blame on someone else, it's a hell for you. Latro is a heaven for the kind of a person who wants to do something in the life, who wants to, decide about own future, just like myself, like so for the people who wants to receive some position in big enterprises, Latro is not their place. They will not find. But for the people who feels that I'm an enterprise, I do a lot of things, but I don't know why. Who am I doing for? What I am doing it here? I cannot change the things. I don't have power to change my life. I don't own my life. Then Latro is for them. So it's kind of like a two-way. And I don't think without living in it, you cannot really understand exactly who you are. You got to live with it. So that's why in our process, that again in my classes, I also teach this. What is our hiring process? The people in Latro found out after 1 year of a lot of fails this hiring process, because hire and fire is also at the teams in Latro. No HR or no manager. The teams hires and the team fires. So in hiring process, since they understand it's impossible to find the correct match without leaving the system, they called it dating, flirting, and then the hiring. I love the words, because just like dating, in their first they become together with the new prospect, they call it dating, and the dating takes a couple of days. So they discuss, they talk, they live together. And in flirting, it takes longer. They work together maybe 1 week, 2 weeks. So after this 2 stage, they both sides decides, okay, we will continue. So why I like the word dating and flirting, because interview is one way. So when you interview someone, you decide if you're gonna hire him or not. But dating, as you know, is a couple thing. The girl needs to like the man needs to like the girl. So it's like a both side thing. So they had this process. That's how they hire, and after that, now they have a lot higher success rate on finding the correct match, because for the prospect also, she understands that he is or she is likes the system or not.
Yeah. And how long did it take approximately to implement it?
You mean how long did it take?
Like not for, sorry, I'm jumping a little bit, but like the transformation, like from the day that you started it, I guess started with the team. So not, I understand that you were thinking about it for a long time, but from the day that you started it with the team to the point where you would say, okay, now we are operating as a Teal organization.
I think 13 months, 14 months. And by the way, I didn't start with the team. I started with the whole company. I just, this was a team. But yes, in total, 13 to 14 months, because I think after a year, we were, completely moving, autonomously, decentralized, autonomous organization. And I don't go to work, by the way, not anymore. I have now my own new venture. Now I am working for Hoodle it's a new company. We built it 1.5 years ago. It's in tech business. It's a tech business. So now they are running themselves. And the good thing is, another word that we need to kill is empowerment. So I didn't empower anyone. When I left the job, I just fired myself and I just killed the power, not the empower, kill the power.
Interesting. And the new company, is it also a Teal organization?
Yes, it's born like Teal. I think, by the way, that's a good point. Almost all startups are Teal organizations. Because think about a startup. Me, you, we are going to build a new company. Who's the boss? We just do it together. Then we have the third person. Then we have the fourth person. And four of us. Who is the boss? I mean, come on, we are doing together. Everybody is doing the same things, or everybody is doing what are departments? With 4 people, there's no departments. Even though startups love to tell them, I am the CEO, he's the CFO. They're like 6 people and 3 seats, C levels. So it's like all the startups starts as a Teal organization. They work together, they decide together, they sleep together, they wake up together. So I always say being a Teal organization is not like finding something up on the earth or up on the space. It already exists. It's so natural. It is where you start. Each startup is a Teal organization. You start from the no hierarchy. You start from no departments. The Teal organization is the version that you continue as like that. So in Latro, we say we are still a bunch of startups working together. So each team is a startup. So giving radical transparency, the full power to a team to make every decision themselves means that I tell them you are a startup. You are co-founders together as a startup. So in Latro today, we are now 60. There are 60 co-founders startup.
Okay. If somebody asks you for advice, like what are the key levers to success in terms of transforming a more traditional organization into a Teal organization?
I think the first thing is the mindset of the owner, of the company owners, because this is not an organizational model like the others that the owner says to their CEOs, okay, we are changing to this one. It won't work like that, for my opinion. So the philosophy of the owners, of the, like the decision makers should have agreed with the philosophy of decentralization and agreed that the people are good, the people are behave good when they are together, and there is a trust, and this will if the owner believes in this one, then it can start. Because if an owner believes that the people are not good, if the owner believes that someone can really trick me here, if there is not a strong trust, or if he's not willing to share what he is earning, then the complete Teal organization cannot happen, because you got to also share. So as an owner, if you are not willing to share your profits, then again, it won't work. So yeah, it starts from the owner's perspective, or the decision maker's perspective, that they're gonna be a big believer of this. And again, philosophically, they had to believe in this, not as a management model. This is a philosophy. So that person should also have a pain of today's political world, like me. My pain today's political world is not the people, is the system. It is too much centralized. My pain today in university is the same, too much centralized. We are not really using the collective power. So if a person have this belief, then he can really implement on this one. But if he believes that there should be a leader, there should be one person who gives the last decision, then the system will be blocked itself. And there are some examples in the world who started as self-management or become a Teal organization, but then they couldn't manage during a crisis. Because when you believe it, you completely believe it. But if you don't believe it, in the first crisis that you will face, you will go back to the old version. And you stay in some place in between. And self-management is an organizational model. Teal organization is a model that you cannot stay in between. You can't have half transparency.
Yeah, that's actually a very interesting point, because I've through my research, I found there are a lot of companies who are kind of doing half Teal, but not in the sense of one element, so not half transparent, but then they would be Teal in respect to maybe self-management and transparency, but not really on the domain of wholeness or evolutionary purpose, or maybe they wouldn't the salary is still not going to be transparent, although the rest of the information flow is very transparent. So it's still kind of half Teal. What do you think about organizations like?
Okay, now I understand. Sorry, maybe I misunderstood your question, because yes, the Teal organization, or it is my personal definition. So if you're asking from that perspective, I think all of them are half or whatever. They could tell them Teal or self-management, because in my speeches, what I believe is the ultimate point that the people manages themselves 100%, or makes every single decision in their life, in their business life, and complete freedom, and really become a complete decentralized autonomous organization. Let's say that is 10. Even Latro is at 8.5. And other companies can be 7.8. And other companies 6.7. So I always encourage companies to move forward. If they're at 4.5, let's become 5.2. So according to your question, I don't think it's all definition. Whatever you say, Teal organization, collective management, whatever it is the name, it doesn't matter. But if there is a ratio between 0, which is mafia, and let's say the 10, which is a complete decentralized autonomous organization, I always suggest and tell and encourage companies to move forward. But when I say there is no half transparency, I mean about this 10, like the highest point that all the companies should get. So if we start to give names, that is also dangerous. So even Latro shouldn't tell itself a Teal organization. It shouldn't tell anything. It says it's a Latro way. and we really humanize the workspace, our people are the owners, are the decision makers. That's what we are. You call it whatever you want. Because when you start to give names, and again, it becomes a structural, hierarchical, centralized way of doing it. So we shouldn't give any name or rate. We're just going to say, as much as we can, let's make these workplaces more happy places for people. Let's make these places that they can get their dreams. They can get complete freedom. They can learn how to, take responsibility. They can learn that they have the power of their own life. That's the place that we need to create, because from these places, the world become a better place to live. All of our problems, this is a personal belief, are coming from this centralized mindset. The wars, politics, hunger, viruses, all this, like the climate change. If you think all these huge problems of the earth is facing, the human is facing, it's because of too centralized management, too centralized mindset, too hierarchical mindset. Think about it. If as a whole world, if we collectively act on climate, we will solve it. If we collectively act on problems, we wouldn't have the wars. If we collectively fight with COVID, we will solve COVID a lot faster and easier. So the collective mind is so important. So as companies, as owners, as people, for our future, we gotta explain to people that collective minds is great. It's great at business. You make more money. You have more freedom. It's great at families. It's great at politics. That's what I believe. Not to give any structural, meaning of it.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you would advise founders? So let's say they do completely share this belief, and it is their deep desire to transform their organization in this collective management. Any other advice?
Yeah, the advice is like they go through the other examples. That really helps me a lot. Read as much as the books about this subject. And now there are companies as a consultants on self-management. I suggest to work with them, because having eyes from outside is great, but make sure that they don't expect a consultant comes and applies the self-management. This is wrong. You just have another eyes that you go through this transformation together with your people. Self-management transformation is a whole thing with everyone in the company, and it's a way of that company. The consultants, the advisors come as a separate eyes to support them. That's all.
Is that how it worked with your friend?
Yes. And the great thing with them is that they have the experience of other companies. They have the experience of the feelings. They read 10 times more books than us. So together with that, they have great comments that all of us is listening. Oh yeah, okay, let's do that. Great idea. But it's not like, hey guys, this is the structure, you follow it. No. I don't think self-management can work like that. It's not like SAP that someone come and install in your company and shows you how to work. It's not like that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's defeats the purpose, I guess.
Yes, exactly. And then I think we should tell it. Maybe we should, in Agile, it happened the same way. When we start to use too many structural words, it goes out from the way. So maybe we should say this transformation, not a Teal transformation, not a self-management transformation. We should tell the transformation is a transformation that the people in the company are taking control. It's a transformation. They are becoming a part of real company. It's a transformation becoming decentralized. It's a transformation, having complete transparency. So this should be the targets, not a name. Then it will become again a very, for my opinion, again, it will get out from the purpose.
Yeah. Right now, are you completely happy with the way that it's working for your company?
I cannot say completely. I can say I'm completely happy and satisfied and feel amazing that I did this transformation. But yes, we have a lot of things to solve. So like I am very happy with the decision. I'm very happy the direction we are going. I'm very happy that I see the people are happy inside. But yeah, I cannot say I'm completely satisfied what's going on. And I hope I will never be, because I think that's the journey. That's the great part of journey. You always try to achieve something better. You always achieve more happy people. You all need to achieve more successful people, more people in it. So the goal shouldn't be, finish.
What are some of the challenges that you're experiencing?
Again, the challenges are sometimes it's difficult to, convince people that they have the power to run the company together with others. So there are some of them who are very strong personality and the leadership, which is okay. I'm very good. I feel this is great that the leadership, the natural leadership always should exist. But there are some others who can really affect positively, but they are still holding back. So that is the challenge still that I am seeing from outside that needs to change. And I think when you become bigger and bigger and bigger, it becomes better, because then this power, the natural power, distributes amongst the people. And another challenge that we are now solving with our new tech company is the procedure for decision making, because in hierarchy, the advantage of hierarchy is one person makes a decision in 2 seconds with the lips. In collective management, you gotta find a way to take the decisions fast, to transparent them fast, and move fast, which is a challenge that still we are struggling on, and we are trying to find better ways on it.
How is it currently working?
Yes, it is working very well. Like every single month, let's say, or by the time, we are getting better and better, faster and faster.
What is the current process for decision making?
That is the thing, that when you create a process, you also create another, like a timeline. So it's not a process. We teach them the difference between the consensus and consent. So we say take the decisions with consent, not consensus, because consensus is a killer for this system, and I believe it's a killer, by the way, for every system. Because when 10 people come together for a decision at consensus level, I think you kill the how to say, creativeness of the people, or the people don't create, or you kill the innovation, because the consensus never should happen among 10 people. Consent is different. Me and you, we should have different ideas on a solution of a problem, but the consent is good. I would say, okay, I'm consent on you. I'm not sure if it's going to work, but I have no objection. Go and try it. Try and fail. And then I'll try my idea. So we try to teach them to go with consent. So in consent, it also includes MVP, minimum viable product. So make a smallest thing that you can try, and try different ideas if there is no objection on it, instead of trying to become consensus during 3 weeks of discussions and then action. So this is kind of a mindset more than a structure, more than a decision-making process. And then transparenting it is also another important part. whatever your consent is, make sure you're transparent to others using a lot of tools that if there is an objection or the others knows what's going on. So in Latro, we strongly, use Slack, Asana, Trello even, and all other communication platforms that everything is transparent and move fast. So in our new platform, as I was mentioning, it's Hoodle.io.
Yeah.
We are building a asynchronous meeting platform because again, we believe when the collectiveness is increasing. By the way, in the world, the good thing is the world is moving towards to become more collective. So it's going in the direct correction, incorrect direction. Now I'm tired, I guess. So when they are become more collectively acting, then they do a lot of meetings. So now the number of meetings in the world is expanding. It is going crazy. So we said there should be a way that you make the decisions or you move collectively, but not meeting too much. So we built this Hoodle that you meet on your own time. So instead of doing this meeting here, we will be opening a Hoodle and you could ask your questions there via video and I would answer via video. So just like now we are synchronous meeting, we do the same asynchronously. So I contribute my own time, you contribute your own time, I consume my own time, you consume your own time. So we don't steal each other's time together with this Hoodle. So they are using Hoodle. So instead of making too many meetings for transparency and for consent, they do Hoodle. They say, okay, I'm gonna do this. These are the numbers, whatever it is. And they open a Hoodle and the Hoodle has a 3 days of ending, for example, there is an ending date. And the other 8 people in the team comes in, listens it, asks the questions, make the comments, use any kind of objection or whatever. And at the end of these 3 days, without them coming together in a common time, the decision has been done.
Great. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Any other final comments that you want to make?
No.
Share?
No. There are a lot of things because when I have this question, I have like half an hour discussion more. So don't worry.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation and were able to take away something of value to your day-to-day life. For me, I think one of the ideas that was just reconfirmed for me is the importance that organizations have beyond the scope of the organization itself, and not just through the products that they produce or the services that they offer, but through this the organizational culture that they have, and through the organizational culture, but also how they nurture the personal development of their employees. And as we heard, it's in the Haluk's case, the company is almost continuing, or who knows, even maybe substituting some of the roles that originally were played by family, by schools, colleges, and those institutions that are there to form us as and how we think and how we act and how we approach things. And organizations play a big role in shaping this narrative as well. And this whole idea of organizations nurturing the self-awareness and the sense of ownership and agency and responsibility, it just slips over to all areas of our lives and society as a whole. And herein lies the huge responsibility that companies have, but also opportunity to have an impact that goes beyond their original scope of service. So I would love to hear what you took away. So put it in the comments or message me directly. connect with us on LinkedIn, join our community, and stay in touch.